Dear students, today we will see the new topic national liberation movements in the colonies. So, here we will discuss several colonies in Asia and Africa. They struggled against the colonial rule and organized freedom movements, which are called national liberation movements. From Asia, from Africa. Several nations were colonized by the Europeans, and those nations which were under colonial rule, like India, they struggled a lot and they started a movement for the liberation, for the independence, and that is called national liberation movements. Many of the countries were not free, they were under colonial rule. If you look at China, that was under the control of many colonial powers, and for the name's sake, it was independent. Actually, it was not independent, it was ruled by the many nations. So, we cannot call it's a colony for one particular nation. Here in this chapter, we'll discuss the different situations faced by the colonies and how they began to fight against the domination of the colonial powers. Most of these countries had different kinds of people. It may be China, it may be Vietnam, it may be India, it may be Sudan, Egypt, it may be Indonesia, right? So all these nations had different kinds of people who were speaking different languages, right? So let us see that they did not feel that they are as one nations. They never felt that all these people belonging to one nations, and the rulers in these nations, they did not allow the people to unite, understand, because they want that to continue their rule by suppressing the people's freedom. So most of the traditional rulers were kings and emperors in these colonies. So these emperors did not support the idea of the people, that is democracy and freedom. Understand? So people want democracy, whereas the rulers want dictatorship. So rulers did not, that is kings and emperors, they did not encourage the people, they did not support the people ideas like democracy and freedom. And in Europe, we see in some nations some new ideas emerged, that is nationalism, democracy, and sometimes socialism. Workers raised a revolution for getting equality in the wages and the working conditions, that is socialism. So nationalism, democracy, and even socialism, which started in Europe, these ideas inspired the people of the colonies, and they started a fight against the colonial rule to achieve the democracy, nationalism, and socialism. We will compare some of these countries' independent struggle with our own nation, and how these independent struggles, that is national movements in the colonies, changed the lives of millions of the people over a time, how the life of the people changed in in the course of time, from the colonial rule to their independent nation. So to study the national liberation movements, we will study first the China. How is China here? Understand? China, it was under the rule of Manchu dynasty at the beginning of 20th century. At the beginning of 20th century, it was under Manchu dynasty, Manchu emperors. China was ruled by different dynasties, and different dynasties were called with the different names. My dear students, those names are different. For example, Shang dynasty, Tung dynasty, uh, then Manchu dynasty. Like these dynasties ruled China. So by 28th century, there was a Manchu dynasty rule in China. The emperor of Manchu dynasty was not a successful ruler because he failed to protect the interest of the what to call China from the Western colonial powers. During early 20th century, China was colonized by many nations, that is Britain, France, Japan, Germany, Russia. Like this, several nations entered in China. They set up their trading centers in China. So we cannot say that it was a colony of one particular nation, right? As it was under the control of many Western colonial powers. For the namesake, China was independent, but actually it was controlled and administrated. What you call the rule? Its rule was controlled by the Western powers. In other words, we can see that Manchu emperor was a puppet in the hands of the Western colonial powers. I'll show you that what the nation it is. Look at my dear students, it was China in the map given. It is China, and this was under Manchu dynasty by early 20th century. He was a Manchu emperor. He was a Manchu emperor. He was an unsuccessful ruler because he bent towards Western colonial powers. So he implemented certain laws which were suitable for Western powers. Right? He neglected the interest of the Chinese people. So, with the force of the Western colonial powers, this emperor failed to give better administration to the what to call Chinese people. So, against this Manchu dynasty and this emperor, people raised several movements. Instead, here we see that Western colonial powers also they wanted some demands to be fulfilled by the emperor, that is Manchu emperor. They want what to call immunity from Chinese laws. Understand? Here you see that it was China which was ruled by many Western colonial powers from 1850 to 1910. I'll show you here these the nations: British, French, Germany, Japan, Russia. Instead, these were the nations. They occupied some territories in China, which are shown in different colors, right? So it was under different Western colonial powers instead. So these Western colonial powers, they wanted some concessions from China. Okay, they want some political concessions instead. That is, they wanted a low import tax. Low import tax. That means when the goods are imported to China from other nation, that is a Britain exporting goods to China, then Russia, France, Germany, when they were when they were exporting the goods from their nations to China to sell there, then the taxes imposed by Chinese government were high. So these Western colonial powers they demanded there should be low import tax. There should not be tax on foreign goods which they want for which Western colonial powers want to sell in China. Understand? And they also want immunity from Chinese laws. What is by immunity? Resistance. They demanded Chinese laws should be applicable for China traders. There should be exemption from Chinese laws to the Western colonial powers. Means the Western traders who settled in China, they want protection from the Chinese laws. They don't want to follow the Chinese laws instead. So they demanded immunity from Chinese laws instead. And also, they wanted to maintain their own armed forces to protect themselves from what you call local or domestic traders. So there was a competition of selling the goods in China to Chinese traders from the Western traders. Western traders who received many concessions from the Manchu emperor. Still, they want some more political concessions, economic concessions, and political concessions. What are those? First one is low import taxes. Second is that protection from Chinese laws. Third is they want to maintain their own army, and this was not at all what to call happy to the local people, the common people. They wanted there should be change in the administration. They were unhappy with the what to call the rule of the Chinese emperor. Understand? So here we see that the common people, as well as the administrators, that is officials, they did not like the emperor's rule. They were unhappy and they want to bring certain reforms in the existing political system. So, for that, the people revolted against the domination of the Western powers in China. So, with this, we see that Manchu Emperor, what you call defeated in place of Manchu Empire. Manchu Empire was overthrown by 1911. By 1911, we see that their republic was set up. Dictatorial rule had ended, and republic was founded in China in 1911 by Sun Yat-sen. Sun Yat-sen was founder of modern China. I'll show you the figure of what you call. This is a person. He is what you call person. We call him Sun Yat-sen. He was the founder of China. He came from a poor family. He was from a poor family, and he studied in a Christian missionary schools. And there he was exposed to democracy and Christianity. Understand? He influenced by the ideals of democracy and Christianity. He studied medicine. He was very greatly concerned with the fate of China. China was in trouble, so he was not happy with the situation in China. So he decided to bring changes in the China. He wanted to do something for China. He studied the problems of China and constructed a program of action for change, for bringing change in China. China was under different Western colonial powers. So China was suffering with the Western colonial powers. Western colonial powers dominating the trade of the China. So Sun Yat-sen was not happy with that one, and he decided to remove all those foreign influences from China. For that, he constructed a program that is what to call to bring modernization in China. Understand? So that he Sun Yat-sen was so that Sun Yat-sen is considered founder of modern China. And what is the program he introduced? That is San Min Chui. I'll show you that. He is the founder of modern China, and he introduced a program that is called San Min Chui. This is a what? San Min Chui. The three principles. He wrote a book that is called Program of Action. Okay, what is the program of action? San Min Chu. San Min Chu. This is what a program of action uh, prepared by the Sun Yat-sen to make China modernization. So what is meant by San Min Chui? San, the three principles here. San means nationalization. It means what? Nationalization. That is overthrowing. San means nationalization. That means overthrowing Manchu dynasty, which was not successful dynasty, right? Which failed to defend the interests of the China, right? China was under different Western powers. So the emperor of Manchu dynasty was failed to protect the interest of China. So to remove the emperor of Manchu dynasty, there a program is organized that is called nationalism. In their language, it is called San. San in the sense overthrowing the Manchu dynasty, who were as a foreign dynasty, right? And they were foreign imperialist, right? That is the first. Second is mean. Mean in the sense democracy, right? After overthrowing the Manchu dynasty, they want to establish democracy, which is a people's government. That is mean. San mean. Second one is mean. Mean in the sense democracy, establishing democratic government in China in place of emperor's rule. That is a dictatorial rule. The second thing, okay, overthrowing Manchu dynasty is nationalism, and after that establishing a new government which is based on the people's uh, power, that is a democracy, that is mean. Then another, that is what to call it, chui, which is means socialism. Chui means socialism, that is whatever the industries which were under private persons, that should be removed. Industries which are under private control, that should be shifted to state control. So bringing all types of industries under the nation's control is called socialism. And lands which were under the landlords and looting the peasants, that given a great trouble. There, the land, much of the land was under the control of landlords, and peasants were not getting any land. So landless peasants suffered by the exploitation of the landlords. So to remove the landlords and redistribute the land to the landless people, uh, bringing total land under the nation's control and industries also under the national control, is called socialism. This is a program of action prepared by the Sun Yat-sen. In Chinese language it is called San Min Chui. What we call San Min Chui. So this program introduced by Sun Yat-sen. Okay. So anyway, here we see that the Manchu dynasty was overthrown and republic was set up by Sun Yat-sen. By 1911 in China, Manchu dynasty was ended, its rule ended. Then China turned to republic in 1911 under Sun Yat-sen. As soon as it turned to republic, it did not run for long period. It was what to call slipped into the military power. Okay, it was not run for long period. China, which established a republic by 1911, did not run for a long period. The government established there did not run successfully because there the warlords, that is what you call landlords, and some warlords, who were the warlords in the sense regionally, in every region there were some powerful persons, and they were called warlords. So these warlords, they fought against the republic and overthrown. Here I'll show you that this is what to call the regional military powers in China are called warlords. Were called warlords. Regional military powers in China are called warlords. So after the Manchu dynasty was overthrown, republic was set by Sun Yat-sen, and it was not stable. It did not come into power. Very soon it fell into the hands of warlords. Warlords controlled the what? China. Understand? So every movement, there was a political struggle and social struggle. We see here there was a social and political situations were very worst in China. Understand? So against this instability of the political and socially, people raised a revolution on May 4th, 1919. That is called May 4th movement. Understand? On May 4th, 1919, people started a movement from the capital city, Beijing. Okay, why did they start this movement? There was a political and social situations were worst, and the main thing to start this movement is that they did not get fair what to call compensation uh, after the World War One. My dear students, during the World War One, China was on the side of the Britain. Okay, China given support to Britain in World War One because during World War One, Japan started occupying many places in China. So to get its territories back from the Japanese control, from the control of the Japan, China joined hands with Britain. So Britain promised that it would be restored all the territories of China which it had lost to the Japan after the defeat of the what to call these Japan, then Italy, Germany in World War One. So after the end of the World War One, a peace conference held in Paris. That is a Treaty of Versailles. We discussed it, right? So under Treaty of Versailles, it was not given fair what to call concessions instead. So here there was injustice to the China by the Treaty of Versailles. There is a Paris Peace Conference instead. So China was not happy. It did not get its territories back. So it wanted to get those territories back. So it raised a movement by May 4th, 1919, that is called May 4th movement. At the same time, there the political situation and social situation also worst. So young people, unemployed youth, they wanted to attack the total old traditions. Old traditions were not giving way for China to turn to modern nation. So the total people, whole generation of the people, it means total generation of people in China, they decided to attack on old traditions. Several old traditions were there in China. Those were becoming obstacle to the China to turn to modern one. So they targeted the old traditions and they want to save China from the old traditions. Understand? What are those old traditions we see now? Okay, here they want to see China as a modern nation. The people who are living there, they wanted to see China as a modern nation. They want to see modern science in China. They want to see China as a democratic nation from the dictatorial role. They wanted to look China as a nation which was under different Western powers. They want to see China as a nation. So nationalism, democracy, modern science, these are required to make or to build China as a modern nation. So for the sake of all these things, people raised the movement in addition to the what to call injustice method to it through the Paris Peace Conference, that is a Versailles Treaty. So they raised a movement, a May 4th movement in the what to call month of May, 4th May 1919, right? May 4th, 1919. The revolutionaries wanted that foreigners have to leave what to call China because total resources, it may be the land, it may be the minerals, all those were under the control of Western powers. And they also wanted to remove inequalities in China. Among the people, there were many inequalities. That is, a society was there in China in which many inequalities there. That is, upper class people, middle class people, lower class people, first class, second class, third class, poor people, rich people. Like these differences were there. Many people were under poverty. So these young people who started this May 4th movement, they wanted to remove the poverty from China, and they want to make China as a modern nation, right? And several languages were spoken in different parts of the China. As different languages were spoken, it did not create a sense of unity among the people who were speaking different languages. So these people wanted to make one simple language and one simple script for all Chinese people. There were some old traditions which were very cruel. One is what to call, women were not given due respect in the society, right? Women were not treated equally with men. How in India we see that men dominated on women, there is also women was a subordinate. Women was a subordinate to the men, and they followed one cruel practice for women, that is a foot binding. That means women were not allowed to have fully grown feet, and that what we call here foot binding. Understand? That means if foot, if the feet of the women is fully grown, then it will be same and equal to the men, so that they did not allow women to have fully grown. So for that the people followed their foot binding. Look at this figure, this is the part of foot binding, when they have to what to call forcefully tie up their fingers bending. So when they followed and practiced foot binding, many women feet have happened like this. Look at this figure, they, because of foot binding, their foot, their legs, see the fingers how they turn like this, because it's a cruel practice they followed, that is foot binding. Understand? And there was a domination of men in the society. Women were not allowed to have equality with men. And another thing is that in the marriages, women consent was not taken. They did not take the women opinion whether women is interested to marry a person. They should have a freedom to select their husband. Such was not given to them, and they were not allowed into the what to call economic aspect. Their economic development also very less, because it was controlled by Western powers. Because of economy under Western powers, there was a poverty. So to end the poverty and to see the economic development, then to end a cruel practice, that is a foot binding, and to end the what subordination of women, there they started a revolution by May 4th, that is called May 4th movement. Understand? This is the what May 4th movement, you will get this for 2 marks. Understand? So after the Republican Revolution, the country entered again to a great disturbance. There was what to call a great disturbance in China, because one side world tradition should be continued by some people, but many of the young people wanted to see China as a modern nation. So there was a great disturbance after the Republican Revolution in China. Then there we see that two parties emerged in China after the great disturbance, that is Kuomintang Party. In short, it is called KMT, that is National People's Party. This is one party. Another party is that Chinese Communist Party. These two parties emerged in China after the Republican Revolution. Okay, one is a KMT. Okay, that is called Kuomintang Party or Kuomintang Party. Then eventum either Kuomintang Party or Kuomintang Party. The next is what? Chinese Communist Party. These are the two major parties emerged there. Understand? So here these two parties wanted to unite their country and bring stability, right? So here we see that these two parties, that is Kuomintang and what to call Chinese Communist Party, they want to see the China as a modern nation, but the way they followed is different. That is Kuomintang Party (KMT). It followed the political philosophy of the Sun Yat-sen. What was the political philosophy of the Sun Yat-sen? That is San Min Chui. We discussed it, right? So here we see that they identified, this KMT identified some great needs of the people. Four great needs are there. Those are we see these are the party symbols. Kuomintang, Chinese Communist Party. This is a Kuomintang. This is a Kuomintang Party. This is a Chinese Communist Party. Okay, they strive to unite. These two parties struggle to unite the country and to bring stability instead. So here Kuomintang KMT party philosophy is based on Sun Yat-sen ideas. Sun Yat-sen identified four great needs of the people. What are the four great needs of the people? Those are housing, shelter, right? It is what? Housing, clothing, shelter. I'll show you that it is. Uh, it is there, yeah. What that? Four great needs, dear students. It is there. Underlining it is clothing, food, housing, and transportation. These were the four great needs identified by the KMT, which were in political philosophy of Sun Yat-sen. So here Sun Yat-sen died. After the Sun Yat-sen, Chiang Kai-shek turned to the leader of Kuomintang party. After death of Sun Yat-sen, we see that another person turned to emperor. Sorry, emperor not the leader of the KMT. His name was Chiang Kai-shek. He was Chiang Kai-shek, and he turned the leader of Kuomintang party after the death of Sun Yat-sen, and he launched a military campaign. A military campaign means a military attack to what to call bring the China from the control of warlords. China was under the control of warlords, regional military warlords. Their warlords were regionally powerful. The like what you call in India too. Also, we see that jamindars, samstanandars, they were powerful in their locality, right? So the king usually used to get people. The king used to get what support from these samsthanas in India. In China too, also the king used to get military power from warlords only. So warlords were very powerful in their region. So much of the China was under control of warlords. So to unite the China, it is very essential to remove the warlords. So your KMT leader Chiang Kai-shek, he organized a military campaign to control the warlords and to eliminate the communism. He was against communism. That is, he was against to CCP party. So warlords were very powerful. So against that one, he raised what a military struggle. So warlords were very powerful in their locality. China, Chiang, that is Chiang Kai-shek, also wanted to militarize the nation. What is by militarize the nation? Everyone should undergo the military training. And he said that people must and should develop a habit and instinct for unified behavior. What is by habit and instinct for unified behavior. Look at this sentence. People have to develop habit and instinct for unified behavior. For the sake of unified China, people from birth, it should come by their heart. Understand? It means from wholeheartedly, there should be commitment to the people in their mind and heart, that to see China as a unified China. So for that, militarization is very essential. So Chiang Kai-shek wanted to militarize the what nation, and he focused on urban areas only. This KMT focused on urban areas. So industrial growth was very slow at that time. Understand? By 1919, an industrial working class, that is near about 5 lakh people, appeared in some cities, that is Shanghai. Shanghai is a city. There we see some industries started development. These cities turned to the center of modern growth. Slowly, as industries started in China, then some cities which were not cities once upon a time, they turned to cities like Shanghai. Shanghai was one city at the time, and it consisted of 5 lakh people. Understand? 5 lakh people were there in China, and it was a Shanghai city. And later, this city turned to the center of modern growth, and only small percentage of these people were employed in modern industries instead. That means many of the people were not employed in modern industries. Only a small percentage of people were employed in modern industries, that is especially shipbuilding, and remaining were some petty urbanites. What do you mean by petty urbanites? Those were what to call shopkeepers. Here I will show you that this is petty urbanites. Petty urbanites means, in Chinese language they're called Zio Shimin. Zio Shimin means traders, shopkeepers. Most of the people in Shanghai city were traders and shopkeepers. So they were called Zio Shimin. Okay, 1 minute is left. We'll complete the lesson. We'll try to finish here in 1 minute. Okay, and urban workers, particularly women, they earned very low wages, as they followed, no, that is inequality was going on. So women get very low wages, and they were organized themselves into the unions. They formed what are trade unions. Working hours were long, and working conditions were very bad. So these working conditions which were bad and working hours which were long given an idea to people to fight for freedom, and so the freedom became very popular. Here I will stop.